I am here today with my good friend, Nate Jackson. How are you doing?
Doing great, sir. Doing great. Thanks for having me.
You can probably tell by looking at me, he's my trainer. But I've known Nate for a few years, and he has been transformative for me and actually my family. He's helped me a lot in really tough times with COVID. He is a nutritionist, a nutrition coach, a physical trainer, motivational speaker, you name it. The guy's got more energy than anyone I've ever met, and he's got a great story. And I just want my network and our network to see him, learn about him, because he just helps a lot of people. So with that, maybe Nate, maybe just give me a little bit of your background, because I think your story is pretty unique. I know you came from some humble beginnings and really built out a good business.
Absolutely, man. Yes. Well, yeah. Again, guys, thank you guys for having me. My name's Nathan Jackson. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. So grew up there. I come from a pretty big family. Grew up in a low-income area. I'm the youngest of 8 children. Growing up throughout my whole life in El Paso, you know what I mean. I've witnessed the struggle. Yeah. You know what I mean. And throughout that struggle, I've kind of learned a lot through it all too, as well. You know what I mean. So I played sports, football, basketball, and baseball. Once I got into high school, I eventually only stuck with football. Yeah. I was pretty talented. I was recruited, highly recruited out of high school, but didn't receive any offers because I didn't have good grades then. You know what I mean? So as far as the being a student athlete, I don't really think I got that down until I got to college, and then we'll talk more about that here in a little bit, So having said that, that caused me to go the junior college route instead of getting a ride to a big university like we all wanted. Right. So I ended up going the junior college route, had the opportunity to move to Santa Cruz, California. Had some family friends out there, and then I can say when I got to junior college, that's when I really matured more as a student athlete. Right. You know what I mean? And started taking school as serious as I did sports. Right. You know what I mean? And that was a great time for me, man. I started, doing a lot of helping out with a lot of nonprofit organization, volunteering my time. You know what I mean, with camps and things like that. So again, it was a big time for me to mature and take that next step as an athlete.
I know your story very well, obviously, and you came from pretty humble beginnings. Like, what was your differentiator in terms of kind of making it versus not making it? Because I know you mentioned right out of high school, maybe you started down the wrong road and you kind of transitioned to move to Santa Cruz. You didn't have a lot of mentorship and coaching. What was the difference, would you say? Was there a person? Was there a situation?
Well, at that time, I did have people in my life trying to, push me in the right direction. You know what I mean? But I think what it was for me to kind of, get me on track is, I was able to kind of just like sit back and see the things that were happening to me. Nothing good was going on in my life. It was just negative. Everything was negative. And I had some time to reflect. And then it kind of clicked with me, you know what I mean? As far as the things that I needed in my life to get back on track. And playing sports, getting back into football, going back to school. That's the things that I needed. So there was something missing that whole time when I was going through those tough times, you know what I mean, in El Paso before I moved. So, like I said, man, it was just, a steamroll of negative things happening to me that made me realize, okay, you need to check yourself and start get things going in the right direction. Plus having some people kind of push me, and then opportunities. Right. People give me an opportunity to move, to get out of whatever I was in to better myself. So that was huge for me.
And how did you, obviously you've always been an athlete and been focused on, moving your body and in tune with your body. How did you decide to get into kind of the fitness industry in general?
Oh yeah, that's a great question, man. So, I come from a football background. So I started as a football coach. So after I finished playing football in college, I interned as a football coach, a defensive back coach, also did some help with strength and conditioning teams. You know what I mean? So that's where it kind of started, the coaching thing. And then I transitioned to fitness. In that, it was kind of during the same time I started training a lot of athletes, one-on-one at that same time. You know what I mean? They were reaching out, for assistance, you know what I mean, to elevate themselves in their sports and stuff like that. So as I was coaching people in a group, being a defensive back coach, I was also assisting athletes privately. And then it just slowly transitioned to that more on a full-time scale.
Okay. Okay. And I know your career has morphed over the last 10 years in terms of what you're doing. And one thing that amazes me about you, Nate, is your energy. Like, you have a demanding schedule, lots of clients, lots of different businesses, and this will probably segue into my next question, but how do you tap that energy and bring it to every client, every business venture, whatever it is you're doing?
Right. One thing, obviously, first off, I love what I do. You know what I mean? I get to wake up and do the things that I love every day. So, and the great thing about my job is that every single athlete and person I deal with is different. You know what I mean? So that, I got to motivate them differently. There's just different things I have to do. And that alone right there is a challenge for me, but it's what makes the job great for me. You know what I mean? And it keeps my energy up. You know what I mean? And then also practicing what you preach. You know what I mean? I'm huge on that, man. It's like, I'm a man of service. I always tell people that. You know what I mean? So when you're serving others, people are coming to you for your energy, for whatever it may be. And so you have to make sure that you deliver every single time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's one thing that's huge to me, man, is when you have to be there for other people, leave no question about your energy.
When you're working out with a guy like me and I'm completely dogging it, and I'm like, how do you stay positive? And like,
Right.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of Bill slacking.
Absolutely, man. Well, that's the biggest thing is when I go to work or when you're in the gym, you might notice this is like we want to keep everything positive. And what I mean by that is everything I say and speak should be encouraging, uplifting at all times. My mentor taught me one thing, Greg Amundsen, he taught me speak a language of positive expectancy. You know what I mean? And so if you're speaking those encouraging words to people on and on, more than likely you're going to get that in return. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think if I can do that as a coach, I think that's just going to, foster the environment that I want there, that positive,
Right.
uplifting, energetic
Right.
environment. You know what I mean?
And I ask you this all the time, what do you like more, squats or broccoli? I'm kidding.
Like them both equally, man. Yes,
So
sir.
I know a lot of people watching this are high performers, have full work-life balance issues. You're huge on nutrition. I think something
Absolutely.
you've said, I've heard over and over, is food is medicine.
Absolutely.
Tell me about what that means for you in life and how you coach clients in terms of the importance of nutrition and how you kind of balance that in your own mind.
Absolutely. Well, yes, nutrition, food is everything. Obviously, everybody has to eat to survive, right? So, what you're eating, I always tell people is you're either eating and, eating and feeding disease, which is eating bad food, which is going to feed disease for you, or you're eating things that are going to nurture your body, things that are going to serve as medicine and make you feel good, things that you should be eating, you know what I mean? And your body will tell you. We know when we eat bad things, you know what I mean? Because you feel, you directly, you get that feeling, you know what I mean? And that's the great thing about eating is like, you will feel when you eat something bad. So my biggest thing with my clients is getting them to focus on how they feel when they, eat something, okay? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What you consume, how do you feel when you do that? And that number one right there is gonna change the habit of what they're eating, I feel like, So that's huge, man. Obviously, nutrition impacts performance. And obviously, one thing that I focus on with people is just life performance, okay? I'm not just talking performance when you're out there, playing a sport or whatever it may be, but how do you perform in life, And I know if we eat good, you're most likely to sleep better. When you eat good, you're more likely to be better at your jobs, be better at your relationships, all those things because you're fueled correctly. You know what I mean? So that's why I push nutrition so hard on my athletes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you've kind of answered this in a roundabout way, but what's your favorite part of your job? Is it, when somebody achieves results, or is it just the relationships you build?
Yes. So you nailed it right on the spot, man. I love interacting with people. You know what I mean? If I would have never met someone so awesome like you. You know what I mean? I
paid him to say that.
Absolutely. Well, no, absolutely. You know how great you are, man. But in that same sense, I get to interact with amazing people, and then I get to motivate them. And one thing that my clients, they need to understand, and they, is we learn so much from each other too. You know what I mean? One thing that I learned about being being a trainer in time is I'm not always going to be right. We learn about you together sometimes. Right? Or whatever it may be. So I think that's the great thing about it. And like you said, is building that relationship as well. Mm-hmm. But the real prize is when we do, when we motivate you to reach your goals. Right. You know what I mean? There's nothing better than that, obviously, because that's when I know that, transformation is happening. right? That's when I know that we're forging a lifestyle, that's gonna, last, that's gonna stick, and that's gonna last for a long time for you down the road. You know what I mean? And that's what we want. We want to change your lifestyle habits for the better.
Right. I've seen it. I've seen you do it.
Absolutely.
How has, in the last 20 months so crazy with COVID, how did you deal with, and how do you think COVID's kind of forever changed the fitness industry in general?
Yeah, so, COVID, a lot of industries have went digital, right? A lot of industries have went digital, so the person-to-person contact maybe did slow down a little bit, okay? That's one thing, and definitely group classes, right? People, that I'd like to do that too as well. That you can definitely say that people that like to do fitness in a group environment, that percentage is probably smaller, okay? But on the same token, conversely, I think COVID kind of brought fitness up to the forefront a little bit because people were sitting home, a little more sedentary,
right?
Realizing some of the things that are happening. Oh, maybe they gained a little weight. Maybe they, didn't have the outlet of working out or doing something that they were normally doing. Right. So I think there also was a demand, is a demand now for fitness and health. And also, of course, knowing that if you take care of your health, it's going to protect you from the virus a little bit more.
Right.
I think
Right.
people are starting to realize that a little more. So it's been good and bad. It's been good and bad in my business.
And speaking of your business and your plans, I mean, where do you see your company and you in, say, 5 or 10 years? I know you've talked to me a little bit about it, but what's your kind of long-term goals as a business owner and entrepreneur?
Absolutely. So my long-term goal is to, ultimately open my own gym. I would. That's my long-term goal, 5 to 10 years from now, and being able to, teach classes, and just really make an impact. Of course, to my athletes and then the community.
Right.
That's something that's huge as far as my goal.
What, if you were going to impart a few pieces of advice for just exercise and nutrition for the normal, busy, working person, to take away, is there 2 or 3 things you could say that you try to impart to your athletes?
Absolutely. Well, if it's someone that's hesitant and you haven't, you have it in the back of your mind and you've been thinking about working out, just jump in. Just jump in. Start small. Start with 1 day out of the week. Maybe start with 20 minutes, and then get consistent with that, and then it will grow. It will grow, but you have to start, and you have to be consistent. That's the number one thing. I always tell my clients that we just have to start. Wherever you start, and then we'll focus on building on that as we go. So that's the number one thing, man. Just jump in. Just go ahead and jump in. Don't hesitate.
Start.
Just start. Even if it's a walk around your block.
Right.
Start with that. It'll soon turn into a jog.
Yeah.
And then other things will come from that.
And I guess my last question, and the most important, is: would you say I'm the best athlete you've ever trained?
Absolutely, man.
I was
top 5. Top 5.
Well, I really appreciate your time today, Nate.
Absolutely,
and I encourage everybody to check out his website. He is, like I said, a transformative trainer and nutritionist. He's helped me and my family a great deal, and I just can't recommend him enough. Thank you.